Hello, good morning. It's just gone 7 a.m. on Sunday the 23rd of January. I'm just heading out on an Imperial Century, a 100-mile bike ride, 101 miles to be precise. I'm on the A36 out of Bath in Poultney Road. You may tell by the traffic noise there's a few early morning vehicles. I referred to this ride the other day on my picnic ride. Last week I did a 150-kilometre ride up to the Severn Estuary and back. That was, I think, works out as 93 miles. So I'm just building that up today, an extra 7 or 8 miles to bump it over the 100-mile mark. Psychologically, it just feels quite good to get over 100 miles. And then sometime during this coming week, or maybe next weekend, certainly try and do it before the end of the month, I'm going to do a 200-kilometre ride, which is about 124, 125 miles. So you can see I'm sort of like incrementally starting to build my endurance up. I love riding by here in the winter and seeing this all nicely lit up, and it ties in with the method I use for winter riding. I just use anything brightly lit like this to lift my mood, especially in the afternoon as it starts to darken. I figure people have spent a lot of money or gone to a lot of trouble to illuminate their houses and their properties. Why not use that to lift your mood? Which is exactly what I do. Anyway, I'm going to be heading out that way. I'll be leaving Bath and then heading out through Bath Ford and up Kingsdown Hill, and then doing a direction change, heading eastwards through the bottom of the Pewsey Vale, and then when I get to Uphaven I'll be turning south then, southeastish, down through the Wiltshire Avon Valley, and then turning around sort of Boscombe Down, Porton Down on Salisbury Plain, and then heading back through Old Sarum, which is quite close to Salisbury. I won't be going into Salisbury, and then heading down to Wilton and coming back up through the Wiley Valley. That's quite stunning. I did this ride last year. I remember it's actually quite hard in places. I won't be stopping too much. This is going to be more of a vlog video, so I'll see you on the road. I'm now at the top of Kingsdown Hill, having climbed up from Bath Ford that way. As you can see, it's almost light now. I'm going to do a right hand turn here, major direction change, head down. Basically all the altitude I've just gained, I'm going to give it all away as I skirt around Trowbridge and then sort of head east, southeast. I've skirted around the outskirts of Trowbridge and I'm now in this really fast section heading eastwards. Over there you'll see, sort of on my left in the distance, are the Marlborough Downs. You won't see it from here, but on the right hand side of me are the hills of Salisbury Plain, and they sort of curve all the way round, and then I'm in this sort of like flat bowl in between the two. I'm going to be going along here until I get to the hills of Salisbury Plain, join it at the Wiltshire Avon, and then head down south towards Amesbury, then up onto the Downs where I do my big turn. But this just brought a memory flooding back. It's quite humorous, so let me share it with you. In my 20s I used to be a time trialist, and we used to do a lot of courses around here, and there's one course which used to use the devices to Trowbridge Road, but there was a bridge out for a couple of years, I think. They had traffic lights there where they were replacing it, and so what the organizer did was came down and then did a kind of T formation. You came down here, used these really fast flat roads, went along so far. This is in the days where you could do a U-turn in the middle of a road, come back past the junction, do another U-turn somewhere near here, go back and continue to T up there. I always try to marshal on at least 3 or 4 events every year, because I look at it this way: if you don't have volunteers to help, the people who wanted to race, like me in those days, wouldn't get races. And so I was at one of these dead turns in the middle of the road. They've been abolished since, they're too dangerous, but in those days I was stood outside someone's farmhouse, and I remember it being a Saturday and the FA Cup final was on. And there was this one remote farmhouse, and I was causing a dog to bark apparently, and the owner came out and sort of said, "Why don't you beep, 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 beep off?" And I said, "Sorry mate, I've got obligations, I'm sort of an official for race." I can't watch the cup final because my dog won't stop barking. I sort of said, well, sorry, but that's how it is. I'll be gone in an hour. And he said, I'll call the police. And I said, that's okay, call them. You know, this is sanctioned. We've got police permission. And he effed blind at me. I always think of that when I come along here. I'm now about quarter of the way round. I'm in the lovely village of Urchfont. In fact, I'm sat outside the Urchfont community shop. It's quite busy for Sunday morning. It's a lovely place to just sit here and take stock. So, about quarter of the way round, I'm just having a sandwich. Had a quick snack at the community shop and now I'm on this main road. It's not very busy actually, that takes you along towards Andover. You can see how the landscape is really opened out. I'm starting to merge with these hills here. Then in the far distance you'll see the higher ground of Salisbury Plain. That's where we're heading before we then turn right. Now just passing through Upavon, as you can see I'm crossing the River Avon, the Wiltshire Avon, this lovely spot. Look at that. Then I'll be heading round here, climbing up and then more or less following the river down before I do the final slog up over near Porton Down, then the curve round to Old Sarum, heading home. I've just climbed up over the first part of Salisbury Plain from Nether Avon across quite a long bleak stretch. There's a lot of military bases up there, so obviously no filming there. I'm now on this section heading up to that grind there where those aerials are. See if I can zoom in, give you an idea. And where those aerials are, there's a cut-in through there, which is where the A303 goes. Well, it's from London that way, heading towards Essex, Exeter and the West Country that way. It's like a motorway in all but name. You can just hear the constant roar of it here. Well, I've made the grind up to the aerials. And you can see it's a bit industrialised along here. That's the A303 I was talking about, running down towards the West Country that way. I'm heading straight along. Luckily here, there's this cycle path along the road. And then I climb up there. That's a bit of a slog up that aerial as well. But at least I haven't got the traffic to hinder here. I'm going to be on the cycle path. I did go a bit wrong here last time because the cycle path soon transfers to that side of the road and I carried on and basically I headed off to the right where I should have carried on to the left. I got back on route eventually, so I'm going to try not to make that mistake today. I've crossed over Porton Down. It is actually a main A road that runs alongside the military base, but any photography or videoing is forbidden there, so being about a mile or so before I can film, but this gives you an idea of how bleak it is up here. And I'm just about to drop down into the village of Porton, and then I'll be making my way along. I remember it being quite a long straight hard leg along to Old Sarum. I'm getting ready for some lunch. After lunch it's been quite of a grind actually. These roads, I think they're old Roman roads, are very straight and they go up and over everything. We're now approaching another big landmark. That's Old Sarum Castle. It's an ancient fortification, although as Adam Watkins might call it, a great big pile of dirt. I'm just circling around Old Sarum, so I came in that way, joined this main road down here. Now I'm taking this road around it. I made my last direction change a few miles ago, so I came in from that way along to Wilton, and then I've taken this right hand turn up here and I'm now heading along the Wylye Valley. This is one of the options for the Wiltshire Cycleway down to Salisbury from Warminster. It's really nice, I've ridden this so many times. So the valley is sort of quite chalky and wide. You may hear the A36 in the distance, Salisbury to Warminster Road. We're literally paralleling this on this lovely country lane. The railway comes along here as well. Sometimes it's that side, sometimes it's this side. Obviously the River Wylye as well. But talking about the railway, look at this lovely mural in this house over here. I can only go as far as the gates, I don't want to trespass, but I really want to show you this. It's called Station House. I'll zoom in. I can't go any further because I'll be trespassing and I'd never do that. Lovely mural, isn't it? Well, there used to be a station here, and this was the station master's house. It's got that sort of engineering brick sort of look to it, hasn't it? There's also this memorial here as well. I'm not quite sure what that's all about. Charter of the Forest Court of Grovely, 1603 to 2003. Not sure what that is, but nice nevertheless. Lovely little seat to chill out here. And I'm coming up to 2/3 of the way. I'll stop and talk to you in a church just the other side of the village of Wiley. Mid-afternoon now, making good progress up the Wiley Valley. I've just passed through the small little hamlet of Stockton, one of the lovely settlements in the Wiley Valley. I always stop here actually at this Anzacs in Codford Memorial. There's some chalk badges carved into the hillsides around here, and also up at Sutton Veny and a lot of the churches around here, but I know that at Sutton Veny there's a big Commonwealth war graves plots. I've just stopped in the church gateway arch at Corton in the Wiley Valley just to have a mouthful of chocolate. I've got 25 miles left to go, so what, 2 hours. It looks like I'm going to be finishing just at dusk, so that's something to really look forward to. Maybe elaborate on what I'm aiming for. I mentioned it on my last video, the picnic. I hope to do a Super Randonneur series again this year. I was checking the records last night. I don't know what made me do it, and it'll be my 15th year of doing them. I did a whole year of Super Randonneurs every month for a whole year, but only one of those counted. So getting up to number 15 would be quite good. The older I get, the harder it's becoming. Anyway, the Audax season now starts on November the 1st. So on November the 1st, or very soon after, last year I got in a 200. I just wanted to get in an early victory before Christmas. Then I eased off big time. Went camping, eating, drinking, put on a few pounds. Now I'm trying to shed it all and get my endurance back. And I referred to it earlier on, I've done a couple of 100-kilometre rides. The first one, I remember thinking when I got out, how on earth could I possibly go out and do another 100-kilometre now? But that's the whole point of training, isn't it? You push your body over the limit and it overcompensates. And I remember the second 100-kilometre was a lot easier. I still didn't feel ready to do a 200. Then last weekend I did a 150-kilometre just over, which was 93 miles. So as you can see, I'm sort of stepping up 101 miles today. And then hopefully during this week or before January the 31st, part of my Red January, I'm going to try and get in a 200-kilometre ride. I actually feel like I'm sort of ready for it. I'm certainly going to be, quite exhausted when I get home tonight, but I feel I'm ready for it. I hope this doesn't sound conceited. It really is genuinely honest. When I did my Super Randonneur through the year, one every month, so I did a 2, 3, 4 and a 600-kilometre every month for 12 months. And I remember starting the month, I'd always try and start the month and try and get a big ride in first, either one of a 4 or the 6. And then I would try and finish on the 2, because the 2 felt so easy after those, because your brain sort of comparing it to sort of saying, hang on, I rode 3 times that 2 weeks ago, or twice that last week. So in comparison, it felt a lot easier. And I know that will happen. It all becomes relative. It's what you're comparing it against. At the moment, I haven't quite got there. As I said, that when I felt shattered after the 100-kilometre ride, obviously 200 kilometres felt twice that distance. But when I get up to the 4s and the 6, it really does. Again, I hope it doesn't sound conceited. I'm just telling you as I found it. Relatively speaking, it felt so easy. It felt almost like the easy road just around the end of the month off before I had to then start doing it all over again. And that's one of the things I use. I use comparative thinking on my cycling, just the way we were. Anyway, so I'm just finishing off the last of my bars of chocolate. About 5 or 6 miles that way, we're skirting through Walthamstow, and you go to a housing estate and there's a shop there. and I'll pick up a fizzy drink maybe, and maybe a big bar of chocolate there just to get me the last sort of hour and a half back to home. So onwards that way. I'm at the little corner shop in Warminster and I've just got the sugar cravings. You're gonna have a laugh at this, but I saw some ice cream. I just fancied an ice cream. I got one of those monster fizzy drinks and bar of fruit and nut for just to get me home. Yeah, I had a bit of a laugh with the girl in there. She was saying that the owners have actually turned the central heating off because energy is so expensive, and she said, poor girl, she's freezing. I just bought an ice cream. Anyway, I'm going to chuck into this and then I'll be off. Now got about 10 miles to go. I've just climbed up through Rudge. Now I'm on these minor roads. I'm going to be cutting across the busy A36 shortly, and then heading back roads into Midford, dropping down Midford Hill, getting on the 2 tunnels, and the last 3.4 miles are traffic free. And once I emerge from Coombe Down Tunnel Portal, it's all downhill to my home. It's quite an incline actually. It's a fantastic way to finish. I'm really loving this. And I've got some Guinness in the fridge and a pizza. That's going to really hit the spot. It's been a fantastic first 100 miler for the year. I'm just really savouring this last 50 minutes or so. I just love finishing in the dark. It's been a fantastic day. The section between Porton and Old Sarum, that was quite brutally hard actually. But it's good to have got that under my belt. I'm on 26-inch wheels as well, 1.5 diameter, so you know I'm not exactly making it easy for myself, but I do find it, I feel much safer on wider tyres, especially like now when I'm not 100% sure of what I'm riding through. I'm now on the 2 Tunnels Greenway. I've just passed through Midford Station. I'm just about to ride over Tucking Mill Viaduct and then go into the first of the 2 tunnels, Coombe Down, from this direction. As I said earlier on, once I get to the other side, it's a very, quite a long incline down right to my house, so I'm looking forward to that. What I wanted to say is thank you so much for all the comments that people make on my videos. I assure you, I read them all. Sometimes I have the chance to respond, other times I don't. I normally try and put the heart just to let people know I like what they've said and I've acknowledged it. So just thank you so much for all the comments. One guy, Pro, said to me about the Garmin, don't write it off, you can probably send it off and get a battery put in it. So I'm going to take your advice, buddy, and I'm going to investigate that this week and see if I can send it off and get a battery put in. So thank you so much for that. Thank you everybody for all the comments. If you've got this far, I hope you've enjoyed coming along with me. Now I'm going to head home, see my darling wife, have a shower, and sit down, have a pizza and a Guinness, and just really look back on today, and with quite a lot of satisfaction actually. Anyway, until next time, thank you so much for watching. Look after each other. See you soon.